Hello and welcome to the Facebook Live. Facebook Live stream, Facebook Live, however you want to say it. My name is Evie Burke and I am the Mindset Mentor and Success Coach at One Insight Closer. And I work with women entrepreneurs and I help them be incredibly productive with their day so that they can be more successful and less stressed. So today's topic is habits, and it seems like a really great time to do it because we're going into 2017 and a lot of times we're thinking about what are the things we want to be doing differently or to improve on or to stop doing in the next year. And so when thinking about habits, we a lot of times are thinking about, maybe we're not calling them habits, but we're thinking about what are the things we want to create or what are the things that we want to stop doing, right? And when you're thinking about setting new habits, or let's even back up behind that or before that, and think about what are the things you want to accomplish in 2017. What are your goals? What are your plans? What are the things you want to get done? And a lot of times, we create our to-do lists, we create our plans, we set our goals, but we miss the next step. What are the things that we can do that will support us in reaching those goals? And last week I talked about a way to do goal setting where one of the things that you did was you thought about who were the people that could support you in that, whether it was somebody you were going to hire or somebody you could work with or somebody you might ask for help. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but we talked about the people that could help you achieve your goals, or the people who knew the people that can help you achieve your goals. And in addition to that, what are the things that you can do to set yourself up for success? What are those habits that will support you and lift you up and let you be able to do the things that you want to do? And on the flip side of that, what are the things that you're doing that maybe are not helpful, that aren't supporting you? And I know a lot of times I'll hear people say something along the lines of, oh, I want to start getting up earlier because I can get so much more done if I get up earlier. And I will tell you that I used to be someone who got up at 5 or 6 in the morning every day, and I felt like I had to get up, well, except for the weekends. But anyway, I felt like I had to get up that early because if I didn't get up until 8, 9 o'clock, then so much of the day was gone. And the problem for me with that was my husband is a night owl, and a lot of times he's not getting home until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, or 10. It just depends on what things he has going on at church or for other things. And I would be going to bed. And so we weren't connecting. And I had a schedule change earlier last year. And so I started staying up later with him, but I was still getting up early. And it was really not good for my sleep schedule at all. And I'm somebody that needs 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night, or I don't function as well as I could. And it's one of the things I know about myself. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting up later because I realized that in the morning I had a lot of downtime. My mornings were really leisurely, which is fine. I can have a leisurely morning. But I found if I wanted to spend more time with my husband in the evening, I could get up at 8 o'clock. And if I just changed my schedule a little bit, I was more likely to still get up and be in my office by 9:30 in the morning. And for me, one of those habits was, one of the things that I needed to change, one of the habits that I switched around was instead of going downstairs and having breakfast in my pajamas, and then I just kind of, leisurely, check Facebook and play games on my phone or my computer. Instead of doing that, if I went and got showered and dressed, and then went downstairs, I felt more ready to start my day. And so I want you to think about what are the things that are going to support you? And maybe they're not the things necessarily that you think. So one of the other things I want to talk about is changing habits. So a lot of times we have habits that maybe we know don't serve us, we want to change them, and so we just try to stop them cold turkey. And for some people that works, but for a lot of people it doesn't. And there's a book, it's called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and I might be pronouncing his last name right, but it's D-U-H-I-G-G, and it's called The Power of Habit, and it's a fabulous book on how habits get formed and how to change them. And one of the things that he talks about is there's a cycle that happens with habits, and it starts with the cue. So usually there's something that happens where it triggers us. You know, it might be a location, it might be a time of day, it might be certain people, but we have a cue, we have a trigger that says, okay, go and do this other thing. And so the cue sets off the routine, and the routine is the habit. So the habit is a behavior that you're doing. And so then you do your routine, and then you get a reward. So usually, yeah, Mary Wu just shared the link for the Amazon book, for the book on Amazon, The Power of Habit. So the routine triggers the reward, and that's really why we have habits, is so we can have those rewards. And if you think about, I'm going to use just a very generic example, is somebody who smokes. So there's a cue to want to smoke. So that might be it's after dinner. That might be it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, whatever that is. And so they go and they smoke. So that's the behavior, that's the routine, right? And then the reward, well, the reward isn't always as, what's the word I'm looking for? As obvious. The reward is sometimes something you need to search for a little bit. So the reward might be, I got a break. The reward might be, I had some social time, you know, I interacted with the people around me. The reward might be, I had some alone time. You know, there's lots of different ways that the reward can show up. So when you're changing a habit, a lot of times we just want to stop everything altogether, right? So if you're a smoker, you know, stop cold turkey. If you're biting your fingernails, just stop biting your fingernails, right? Well, one of the things that Charles Duhigg talks about in The Power of Habit is that's kind of setting yourself up for failure a little bit. If you want to change a habit, it's much easier if you change the routine in the middle. So a habit is the cue, the routine, and the reward. So if you change the routine, but you leave the cue and the reward, then you're much more likely to change that habit. So what this requires, though, is that you know what the cue is and that you have an idea about what the reward is. And in the book, and if you go to his website to charlesduhigg.com, you can find a video where he talks about one of the habits that he had, where he had the habit of eating a cookie. And at about every afternoon, he would go to the cafeteria and he would have a cookie. And what it resulted was he gained some weight, and his wife started to notice it. And so he started to, you know, pay attention. When was this desire to have a cookie? And he realized that he had this desire to have a cookie around 3 o'clock every day. So that was the cue, right? 3 o'clock hits, he has a desire to get a cookie. Now the problem was he wasn't sure what the reward was. So he started changing up the routine to see, you know, what different things he could do that might still give him that same feeling, the same reward. You know, what was that reward? So he started changing things up to see what would satisfy him. And what he ultimately discovered was he just wanted some interaction. He was kind of tired of sitting at his desk all afternoon by himself, and he wanted interaction with other people. So he learned that instead of going to the cafeteria and getting himself a cookie, if he went and started chatting with his coworkers or went to the break room or just went to the cafeteria and started chatting with people down there, then he still got the same reward. And he said as a result, he lost 12 pounds because he wasn't having that cookie, but he was still getting up and, walking around, right? So when you're changing a habit, don't just try to stop cold turkey. Look at what are the cues, what are the rewards, and what can I substitute in the middle that serves me a little bit better than the habit that I want to get rid of. And another thing I want to say about habits here, and of course, before I do that, if you guys have any questions you want answered, if you have any thoughts, please jump in and type them in the comments. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on some of these things. One of the other things that I want to talk about as far as habits and productivity is it's super important to have a morning routine because this really sets you up for success for the rest of the day. And start playing with it. If you don't really have a morning routine or there's parts of it that don't work for you, start playing with it and looking at, what would work for you or what do you know doesn't work for you. And I would challenge you, even for the things that you think don't work for you, just play with it a little bit and try it out a couple of mornings. And I say 2 because I know for myself, showering and getting dressed before I went downstairs, it seemed like so much work. It was first thing in the morning. I just wanted to have some breakfast. I didn't want to, have to go and think about what clothes I was going to wear. But once I actually started doing it a couple of times, it wasn't as much of a pain in the butt. And let me start that again. It wasn't as much of a pain as that sentence just isn't coming up. But when I changed that habit, when I started showering first, it wasn't as difficult as I thought. It wasn't as blah inducing, I guess, as I thought it might be. And so just try it out 2 or 3 days just to see, what really works for you and what doesn't. And maybe you'll be surprised about what works. If I had one suggestion for you, my suggestion would be create a list of 3 things that you want to get done today when you sit down in your office. If you didn't do it the night before, the first thing you do when you sit down at the beginning of your work day is write first, what is the most important thing that needs to get done today? If nothing else got done today and this one thing was the only thing that got done, what would that be? What would that one thing be that would make me feel like I was productive today, that I accomplished something? And then for 2 and 3, what are just 2 other things that you want to get done today? And just keep it short, keep it at 3. And then you can add a couple on later. But just those 3 things to say, these are the things that I want to do today, just to keep your brain focused. And then at the bottom of that sheet or on a page underneath, the things that pop up throughout the day, like the emails you need to respond to that, it's not time to, or you go, oh, I need to send that email to so-and-so, or you remember you wanted to make a phone call. Write those things down underneath it, because your brain is a fabulous thing, but your brain is not a place to keep lists. Your brain is for having ideas, not keeping lists. And that's it's a quote. I worded it badly. It's a quote from, I don't remember who. If I had to guess, I would say it's from David Allen, who wrote Getting Things Done. So let's see, Mary said something. So, oops, let's see. So Mary says that at one point she was supposed to be taking medicine and she would often forget. But when the dog needed to be taking medicine, then she never forgot to give the dog medicine. So she started taking her medicine when she gave the dog his medicine. And so that's inadvertently, Mary brings up a good point. And that is, what are your values? So I know Mary, and I know that she will take care of everyone else. And then she'll think about, what does she need? And that's not always the case. There are certain times where she definitely knows that in order to take care of everyone else, I need to do this for myself. But she's a very giving person. So what are your values? Is the habit you want to create maybe something that really isn't a high priority for you, or isn't actually one of your top values? So if you want to do some work with values, let me know, and I have an exercise that I can walk you through one-on-one at a later point. So that's all I have about habits today. Check out that book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It's a really great book, and you can get it at the library. You can find it at Amazon. Mary posted the link. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. And one thing I would love to know is, what habits do you want to create or do you want to change? And you can share in the comments below, or you can head over to the Facebook group, which is Women Entrepreneurs. Now I'm blanking on the name of my Facebook group. That's okay. Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs. There we go. I knew that there was productivity and women entrepreneurs in there. So if you want to head over to the Facebook group, Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs, and share the habit you want to create, or the habit that you want to modify, not maybe get rid of, but we'll say modify. I would love to know. So I believe, oh, and Mary shared the group there. Thank you, Mary. She's on top of things for me. So again, if you have any questions, let me know over in the group, or type them in the comments below, and I will see you on Wednesday next week. Much love, everybody. Have a great day.